We got a lot of stories to get to with Jarret Stoll, two-time Stanley Cup champion. And not enough people bring up Memorial Cup champion with the Kootenay Ice. So we'll cover all of those CFL topics a little later on because it is day one of free agency. You can pull that microphone right in there, Jarret.
What's up, bud?
And hey, you tell me what's up. It's so great to be here. Looks like you got a nice sun-kissed. Life is good, huh?
Yeah, life's good. Life's good. Playing some golf, and just right now we got a little bit of downtime because you got the All-Star game for the
of course.
NHL and actually the AHL too. Are on a little bit of a break, so my job's pretty easy right now. Just sleep in a little bit, play some golf, and before the season gets going again. First
thing that comes to my mind is the photo that you posted to Instagram the other day. That was, I don't know where you were. You were on the rocks. The ocean was there, and my guy Troy Aikman writes in and says, "Are you there?" Where were you, Stoll? What were you doing? You holidaying or something?
I was at Cypress Point up in Pebble Beach. They got one of the they got amazing golf up there. There's probably 12 or so unbelievable courses, but Cypress is one of their best. And my ball wasn't there. All right, I was walking by. Right. We were going from the 15th green to the 16th tee, and I just look over. I'm like, oh man, that's a good pick. So.
Just good for you, man. Yeah. That just shows you what your attitude in life is when you can notice those moments. He's like, I got to take a picture. But Troy Aikman and you got to tell me. I guess you are married to one of his coworkers, right? So that you guys, boys, you and Troy. Tell me something about Troy because he's my guy.
He's your guy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Troy. Yeah,
Troy is he's a very serious guy. He's very he's particular. He's focused. He's prepared. I've never seen a guy. I go in the booth sometimes when I go to her games and just see how they call a game. Joe too. Joe, there's not a surprise why they've been doing it for so long and why they're so successful. Right? They just prepare and the notes that he has, and then during the game he'll look back and he'll be like, he has fun with it. But he treats my wife really well. They both do, and he's a class act. I really like Troy a lot.
I don't know. I would assume Erin told you, but I was in Nashville hosting a sports trip with like 60 people, and your wife was out for a run. Did she go on game day runs or something?
How long ago was this?
This was just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And, of course, the people on my trip were Rider fans, right? So Erin stopped them and said, can I get a picture with you two Rider fans?
Yeah.
I can't imagine Erin stops people to take a picture that often, right? They were blown away.
She told me right away. She goes, I ran into a couple of those Rider fans of yours. So, yeah, it was funny. Never had a chance to take her to a game yet back home, but maybe one day soon.
Yeah, well, and that's... Yeah, no kidding. I assume Erin's been home, however. Yeah. How many times have you had her? What does she think about the motherland?
3 times. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a little bit different than Florida, that's for sure, where she grew up and where we live now. But, she says how, it's all small town, how everybody knows everybody and how nice everybody is. That's just kind of what she says and what everybody usually says as well, their first time back.
Yeah, no kidding. So Super Bowl week for you, what does that mean? What do you got going on?
She has a lot going on. What
do you got going on? I'm interested in you, Stoll.
I don't got much going on, man. I'm going to go to a couple events for her, and then one event actually is on Thursday night. It's kind of a big deal. She actually won the Pat Summerall Award. So
congratulate her.
Yeah. So it's Thursday night is the big banquet. So that's a big day for her, and I'll go obviously, and her parents are flying in, and I'll go to a couple other little parties, events, but that's about it. We're thinking about going to the game. We're not sure yet if we're going to go or not, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, NBC has the broadcast,
NBC,
right?
Yeah, so, right.
Well, I think, which game was it? Was it the 49er game here, Cardinals game that they showed you in the front row? Or were you at all the games?
Oh, no, I just went to the 49er, the last game.
So what was that like?
It was an unbelievable atmosphere. It was, you always see people say, too, I saw a lot of red in the crowd, and it was. It was probably, 65, maybe 70%.
So they say, 65%.
Yeah, 49er fans. But to be honest, the Rams fans were loud too. They were almost just as loud. So it's going to be interesting to see, because both those fan bases, they created such a good atmosphere. Everybody was living and dying with every play. And I've been to a couple of Super Bowls, and that's kind of how it is at the Super Bowl that I went to when Tom came back and beat the Falcons. It was just everyone was living and dying with every play. And that's how it was the other night. Super Bowl this time, Cincinnati and the Rams. I don't know how that's going to, you don't have fan bases that are too comfortable or too
used to this,
used to this, or used to each other, right? So.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about this before you showed up. That the take I've got, we've been here since Saturday, is that this is a crappy matchup nationally. It's not the Chiefs. Everybody knows Patrick Mahomes, the star, right? Who's the Bengals?
Yeah.
But I can find, Stoll, I've known you a long time. I can find an exciting story about any game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think it's good. But what's the vibe here about the fact that it's Bengals-Rams? My kid, they got to be happy their hometown team's in it. Imagine if they weren't.
Well, yeah. A lot of pressure on this team to be in the Super Bowl, right? With the moves they made, the draft picks they gave up to get Matthew. And then you go out and you get, Von Miller, and you got, Aaron Donald. You got these studs. You got this, so-called all-star team. They're all in. They should be at this game. And, it's one of those things where you just two quarterbacks that have never played in a Super Bowl. Obviously, Burrow's his second year. But for Matthew, 12 years in Detroit and just never getting an opportunity, never having a very successful team around him. And, that's a huge storyline right there, for Burrows, too. He hasn't lost a playoff game in his college career or NFL career. So that's another cool little stat.
That's what I say. If anybody's looking for who to cheer for,
yeah,
I think we just pointed out why it would be the Rams. How are you with talking football, by the way, as a Saskatchewan guy who, you were in Canada for a long time, even in your pro career, to coming down here? Were you an NFL guy growing up?
I wasn't. No, I was a Rough Rider fan. I was a CFL guy for sure. Even when I played in Edmonton, I'd go to the Eskimo games a lot. And, here now, just being in the U.S., it's such a...
Can't get away from it.
No, the NFL it's something pretty special that they have. They have one day of the week. So, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, well, I got to ask you something. I got a million hockey questions for you. Before we break here, we got about 3 minutes. People were writing in yesterday saying, you got Jarret Stoll coming down, Kootenay Ice legend. And I'm like, yes, you don't hear that very often, right? Do you follow in the Ice and what they're doing?
The Winnipeg Ice?
Yeah.
I do actually follow.
Kicking ass.
Yeah. Well, they didn't lose for the first,
25 games, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I still follow. We got a couple players in the Ontario Hockey League. We don't have anybody in the WHL, but I still look and see the scores and look at the standings of those guys for sure.
They've been the number one team in Canada from the first week of the regular season till now. And
first week, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like in the rankings, not necessarily record-wise and so forth. But I was thinking about this morning, getting ready for the show. Matt Cockle's the general manager.
Yep.
Did you play against Cockle? Was he a little...
He told me I did when I went.
I'm pretty sure you would have lit him up.
Yeah,
he was with us with the
right?
Pats, yeah. He was with, Blades and Pats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's funny because, with our great Clark Gillies passing away a couple of weeks ago, Clarky always said to me, he goes, Roddy, I got 4 Stanley Cups, but my Memorial Cup is the thing. He goes, I can't say that I'm more proud, but not many guys have those.
Yeah.
You know what he's saying when he says that?
I do. Yeah, it's just at that age, you're going through so much. You're going through school and, you're trying to, you're living in a billet's house. You're away from your family. You move away when you're 16, 15, 16, 17. And, your draft year's coming up and stuff like that. So there's a lot of pressure and it's hard. You go through 72 games of junior hockey, 4 rounds. Just like, a lot of people don't understand it's actually 4 rounds, game 7s. And or best of 7s, and then you got to go to another tournament.
Then you got to win a tournament,
and win that against
the best teams.
Against teams you have no idea, or players you have no idea who you're playing against. So yeah, it's a special thing. I'm really proud of that World Cup team.
And that was 2000, right? 2002 was after we had it in Regina.
Yeah.
Where did you guys win it?
In Guelph.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to in 2000 in Halifax. Yeah, we went 0-3. We just it was kind of a pretty big learning experience for us, and then we got back to it a couple years.
And Blackburn was your goalie. Well, I have to say this: when Yorkton won the RBC. I recall this, too. They should have sent you a ring because you were buying their breakfasts, their meals. How did that come about? Remember that?
I just bought the first one and then the pregame meal, and then they won. So you know how it is in sports and everybody with their superstitions and stuff like that. So I just kept it going. Here's my credit card. Just use it for this, nothing else.
Well, the junior teams don't roll too, right? It was probably McMuffins. So, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. And we got to get into the hockey talk and hockey questions here, Stoley. So tell your fans in Canada and for our U.S. viewers what you are doing now with the LA King.
I'm doing player development with the team. So that's basically from the moment we draft these kids at 17. We're all at the draft. We have a great development team. Matt Green, Sean O'Donnell, Mike Donnelly, who used to play for the Kings in the 90s, Glenn Murray. So that's kind of our squad. And we take them in. We're not coaches. We're just we're guys that want to get them better. Their fundamentals, work on that, work on just becoming a pro. What's the purpose of why they're working out? What's the purpose on why they're doing a certain drill? We have development camps basically the week after the draft. All of our draft picks come in, and that's our first development camp with them. And basically just build relationships. That's what it's about, building that relationship so they can trust us, we can trust them, and hopefully becoming an LA King one day.
You love it?
Love it.
Why? What do you love about it?
To see the guys actually come up and be pros and maybe you see something during the game that you told them or you taught them or you worked on that with them, and then they're implementing it into a game, into an NHL game would be the best case scenario. And we've had that going on right now with some of our young guys that are up playing with the Kings now and that we've worked with. And that's the proud moment when you're sitting up top and you're watching your guys kind of do well.
Tell me about my guy, Austin Wagner, because I've been following, obviously, with the Calgary kid, one of the fastest junior skaters I've ever seen.
Still one of the fastest skaters.
He is, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought if his hands and head ever catch up to his feet, look out, and it seems like they have.
They are right now in the American Hockey League. Yeah, he's scoring at a pretty good clip right now. But he had a good year for us. Maybe it was 3 years ago. I think he had 12 goals.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really knew about him or knew about his speed, and he was catching guys. He almost had a breakaway game, and he was bearing.
But was he scoring? I was just gonna say
some of them he was. Yeah, some of them. We actually had a little development project. It was called the Breakaway Wags Project, and we basically broke down all of his breakaways, most of the breakaways that were happening around the NHL, and we had a presentation for him, and we worked on it with him a lot. Just kind of why he wasn't scoring, why we thought he was, and he's a great kid. He's a funny guy to be around, and has this. It's a gift, man. His speed is incredible.
But do you see him as an NHL regular eventually?
Hopefully, eventually.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough to break in sometimes and stay. You got to find that role. You got to find that. If you're a tweener, sometimes if you're that really really good AHL All-Star player, or if you're in the NHL, you just can't crack the roster. You're kind of in and out, up and down, and there's a lot of those guys. So, we'll see what happens with him.
The other thing, I hope you don't mind answering all my questions about the Kings. We don't get to talk about the Kings much in Canada, right?
I'm here, bud.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, Quentin Byfield in the scary injury at the start of the year. How's he come back from that?
He's come back good. Yeah, he played probably more American Hockey League games than maybe he thought, coming back, just getting him ready. We wanted to make sure that he was ready to go when he came up and joined the LA Kings, and he's been good. He's been fine, skating good. And it was a tough injury because that preseason game, I think we were against Arizona at home here, and he was the third line center. It was Kopitar, Deneau, and Byfield, and that was kind of how we want everything to go here for the next, hopefully, 5 years.
Yeah.
So, and he was playing so well that game, and then it was just a weird injury going into the boards with the way his foot was, and broken ankle, broken leg, whatever it was. So it was a tough break for him, but he's come back strong. He's a good kid. He's learned a lot, and I think he's going to have a great career.
So what is the plan? This is what I see with the Kings, and you tell me if I'm completely out to lunch, but it seems like they got some really old stars and some really young stars, but not a lot in between. Like, is there a clear plan, Stolle?
Yeah, there's a clear plan. Yeah, for sure.
Are you on track then to that?
Yes, exactly. We're second in the division. Probably a lot of people wouldn't think we should be there right now, but Todd Mcclellan, he's a great coach. Really, really good coach. Has these guys playing a good system that they're very disciplined at, and they're a hard team to play against, and have good goaltending. I know there's some of the older guys, but Jonathan Quick still has it. He's still played really well. Kopitar and Doughty, Brown, like you look at their numbers, they're still where they were 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys are leading the way. And then we got some guys in the middle, that secondary leadership group that, you're right, they're just kind of getting their feet wet, second, third year in the leagues. And those are the guys that are going to have to step it up a little bit. And they have. Some of them have. Adrian Kempe was an all-star this year. Trevor Moore's having an unbelievable year playing with Philippe Deneau, who I didn't realize was this good of a hockey player.
We saw him in Montreal.
I didn't.
Stud.
Yeah, smart. Just nothing crazy, nothing fancy. Just gets the job done, and is huge being that second line center for us behind Andre, because Andre just did so much of the heavy lifting for 12 years now on this team. So it's good to have some help, matchup wise and face off wise and stuff.
Well, when Montreal went to the Stanley Cup, and now look where they are, I think the fact that losing Deneau, nobody talks about that.
That's all
huge.
It's all the people on TV were talking about watching the finals against Tampa. I didn't know. I'm like, every shift it was like, it's Deneau kid, winning another faceoff, blocking another shot, and then we get them. So it's like,
it's funny too. So I had Anaheim picked to be, what I say, Derek, second or third in the division, and people are like, you're drunk, and I'm like, well. Bruce Franklin, scout for the Ducks. Maybe you don't. He's a Regina guy, and he was really selling Zegras to me and all those guys. What's the rivalry like between Ducks, Kings? Don't shoot me if I say, does it compare at all to Oilers, Flames in terms of...
Yeah, I don't think
not fights in the stands, but I mean for points and stuff between the teams.
I don't think it does. It did a little bit when I was still playing because we played them in the playoffs
Right.
in the second round in 14. So that really got it going. But I don't think playing in the Edmonton Calgary series for all those years, it was it was a little bit different hockey too. With the fighting was still in the game a little bit more and how physical it was. But there's still some battles. But I would say our fan base is a little bit bigger than theirs. But they kind of go back and forth. But I wouldn't say it's like Battle of Alberta. No.
Yeah. Well, what I hear from the people that know hockey down here is that Kings fans know the game, Ducks fans don't. Is that fair? Is that true?
I'm getting in trouble down here. But
well, the Kings have been here since what, 1967?
I think, yeah.
So they're like, did you find that they really know the game? They boo at the right times, cheer at the right times.
I would agree with you on that. And we had I think almost 200 straight sellouts when I was playing here, and now it's a little bit different. They're trying to get it back, but to sell out that many times in Los Angeles, a lot of people probably wouldn't realize that or believe that.
There's a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
There's other things to do. I mean, but I just I've said this with these down years, the last few years with the Ducks, Kings, and Sharks. I used to call this Death Valley. Teams would come in. It wasn't if you would lose or not. It was how bad you were going to lose. And I just wonder, do you think the time's coming that all three will be good again?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. If you look where all three of us are in the standings right now, probably maybe a spot or two, up more where people would have thought, right? Like nobody would have thought the Kings would have been second or the Ducks third, or San Jose. I think there's maybe one spot out of the wild card position. So, I think San Jose is a hard team to play against. They're big and they're skilled. I see it. We've played them 3 times, I think, so far, and it's a hard team to play. I know we're a hard team to play, and we will continue to be that way. And in Anaheim, they got a lot of young skill that you see it every night with they're fun to watch. Yeah,
it's like, where did Troy Terry come from? With Sam Steele, Pat's guy. But Florida, where I spend half the time, to me, that's become Death Valley. Teams are coming in there to play the Lightning and Panthers.
I heard that a couple weeks ago. Someone on maybe it was NHL Network or something. And you think about it, and think, you're right.
Who saw that coming?
I know.
I mean, the Lightning have been good for a while, but well. And the other thing with Todd, I just want to spend a minute on Todd Mcclellan, who it's like nobody succeeds in Edmonton. I felt terrible for Todd, getting fired out of there.
Yeah.
What is it that you like about him as a coach?
His presence. His presence behind the bench, his presence in the dressing room, on the ice for practice. I noticed that. I knew Todd from Saskatoon days, and I know his sister a little bit, and so I knew him coming in. But I've never sat in on a meeting, with the group, with the team, the trainers and assistant coaches, and just how he ran that meeting, that first meeting. I was just super impressed, and very detailed, very prepared, and that's just kind of showing now how the team is playing. Knows the game really, really well.
As well as anybody.
Well as anybody.
Yeah.
Say that about a lot of guys, but no, he's a special hockey guy.
Well, he just seems more relaxed too. Like when he was in Edmonton, I'm like, Todd, he looks so stressed. Big difference, I would think, coaching here versus there.
Yeah,
right?
You're not. Yeah, every morning, say for him, for example, in Edmonton, you got the press conference every day, and you got 25, 30 different reporters or beat writers or whatever there, and here you got 3 or 4, on a daily basis. So that's what I noticed when I came over from Edmonton, and you can go 6 games, 7 games without scoring, and you're not in the Edmonton Sun, but do that.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I definitely do not want to get you in trouble here, but just as an Oiler alum, just from what you see, because they'd lost their 7 in a row, and now it looks like they're back on a roll.
Yeah.
And the coverage, like, do you watch? Do you get TSN down here?
Yeah.
You watch all the time?
Yeah.
Like, people were. Tip wasn't going to coach again, right? Like, we're pretty good friends. He didn't need to.
Yeah.
But he wanted to coach in Edmonton. He wanted to coach Connor. And then when the fit hit the Shan, the analysts, somebody said, I can't remember who, they're like, Dave doesn't need this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but obviously you would know Dave from LA days too, right? He's a great coach as well.
Yeah, he's a great coach. And players love him. I know a lot of players. I don't know him that well, but I know a lot of players that have played for him. And they say he's a heck of a coach, players coach, has their back in any situation, won't throw guys under the bus. So he's going through with them. It's kind of, and now the last maybe 3 or 4 games, a lot of their secondary scoring, secondary group is producing now, which has helped this little winning streak. But that's going to continue. That has to continue to happen, or they're not going to maybe even make the playoffs. And they need good goaltending, right? Like, and they've gotten that lately, but you need consistency. You got can't go up and down like that and go on 7-game winning streaks and losing streaks. And so if they get a little bit consistent here, they'll make it. But if they don't, I don't think they will.
Yeah, huge part of Edmonton in your heart, I'm sure, though. Hey,
it is. Yeah,
did you get back there much?
Went back before pandemic here, so it was about 2.5 years ago. Went back with a couple of buddies and played some golf and saw some friends that over the years that I've stayed in touch with, stayed close with. So yeah, Edmonton's always will be a special place in my heart. And love playing there.
Well, yeah, but you were a star there, but here your career went to another level. Why do you think that was?
Darryl Sutter and putting guys and putting pieces together where you should be played and where you shouldn't be. And I had a pretty specific role here. We all did, though. That's how Darryl coaches. So I knew exactly what was expected of me and what I needed to provide on a game-to-game basis. And I loved it. I just had pride in that and wanted to, show everybody that I was that type of player.
Yeah, you didn't have a glamorous role.
No.
Right? No. But it was a role that you filled well. Yeah. And I can't let you go without, I was telling you that we spent half our time in Calgary doing the show from the Grey Eagle Resort, and Darryl, like they're pouring the statue of Darryl for the front of the Saddle Dome now because he's walked in there and done the same thing that he did in LA. What is it about him?
His teams play hard. They play really hard every single game, and sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes teams don't have that extra gear, but Darryl gets that extra gear out of you. He gets that extra push. He pushes guys' buttons, and I'm really impressed with Gaudreau, the way he's playing this year, the year he's having. I thought going into it, I'm like, Darryl's either going to break this poor kid or he's going to have his career year.
Yeah,
and he's having a career year, and that's what Darryl does. And you don't want to let him down. He's like almost like a father figure to me and to all of us. You just didn't want to let him down at all. You'd hear about it, but you knew he was black and white with Darryl. You knew what he meant from what he said, and he was hard on us and hard on all of his teams. But you want coaches like that. I always wanted a hard coach that pushes you the right way and pushes you as hard as Like he knows his players, and that's he knows his lineup in Calgary. He knows them well. He knows how hard he can push them. He knows he's got Lucic there. He's got Brad Richardson, Trevor Lewis, guys that he's coached, and that I'm sure those three guys are helping the whole group as a whole, like a lot, too. Just transferring messages and stuff.
Right, but is he a different guy when the cameras are off than what we see? He has to be, right? He doesn't let the public see that guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, or nobody would want to play for him.
Yeah, he's the nicest man. He'll go talk to your, he'll have a conversation with my buddies from Saskatoon or Yorkton for like 45 minutes, an hour. My parents, same thing. My brothers or sisters, it's just, he'll put in that time. He's very, very personable, and he's a good man.
Yeah, no kidding. Jarret, lastly, for everybody that comes through here today, we're asking for a Super Bowl prediction. Warren Moon, last hour, by the way, has the Rams rolling in Super Bowl 56. Do you have one? I'm not going to ask you for a point spread or anything. Just straight up, who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I'll go Rams. Rams in 10.
Rams by 10?
Yeah.
They're going to roll. All right. Stolle, thanks for the visit. Always great seeing you, man. I appreciate you helping us out.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Two-time Stanley Cup champion Jarret Stoll joining us here at the Westin LAX Los Angeles International Airport. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Peterson Show here on YouTube.